Welcome back to Speed Reads, the channel where we uncover the truth behind the books that shape our understanding of the world. Today, we're diving into a powerful and controversial book that reveals the hidden power games between Iran, Israel, and the United States. This is Treacherous Alliance by Trita Parsi, and what you're about to hear may completely change how you view the Middle East conflict. For decades, the Middle East has been the center of global tension, dominated by the rivalries between Iran, Israel, and the United States. In Treacherous Alliance, author and scholar Trita Parsi uncovers the hidden story of how these three nations, sometimes enemies, sometimes secret allies, have navigated a constantly shifting political landscape. With deep research and unique access to policymakers, Parsi exposes the layers of strategy, betrayal, and pragmatism behind one of the most complex trilateral relationships in modern history. The book begins by shattering a common myth, that Israel and Iran have always been mortal enemies. In fact, for much of the 20th century, they were silent partners. After the Islamic Revolution of 1979, Iran's new theocratic government publicly denounced Israel, calling it the Little Satan. But in the shadows, things were more complicated. During the 1980s, despite public hostility, Iran and Israel maintained secret communications and even cooperated strategically, especially during the Iran-Iraq War. The U.S. was aware of this, but often looked the other way if it served American interests. Parsi argues that the real story is not about religion or ideology, but about geopolitical interest. Israel and Iran, despite their rhetoric, often shared a common goal: limiting Arab power in the region, especially from countries like Iraq, Syria, and Egypt. The enemy of my enemy was, temporarily, a quiet friend. However, this fragile connection began to crumble in the 1990s. After the fall of Saddam Hussein, Iran started gaining influence in Iraq, Lebanon, and Syria, a new kind of power that worried both the U.S. and Israel. Tehran's growing regional control, combined with its controversial nuclear program, transformed Iran from a manageable player into a perceived existential threat. According to Parsi, Israel played a key role in shaping the narrative around Iran's nuclear ambitions. While Tehran maintained that its nuclear program was peaceful, Israel framed it as a direct threat to its survival. This perception, repeated through Western media and political channels, pushed the U.S. toward more aggressive posturing. The fear of a nuclear Iran became a rallying cry, even though the international intelligence community never produced conclusive proof of a nuclear weapons program at that time. Parsi reveals how Israel's lobbying efforts in Washington helped derail early diplomatic attempts between the U.S. and Iran. In the early 2000s, especially under George W. Bush, hardline elements within both countries gained strength. Iran's Axis of Evil label, combined with Israel's insistence that Iran couldn't be trusted, closed many doors that diplomacy had cracked open. Mutual suspicion turned into strategic isolation. Interestingly, the book explores how Iran often sought dialogue, sending back-channel messages and offering compromises. In 2003, Iran even sent a confidential proposal to the U.S., offering to recognize Israel and help stabilize Iraq in exchange for normalized relations. But the Bush administration ignored it. Parsi argues this was a missed opportunity for peace, sabotaged by ideological rigidity and external influence, especially from Israeli interests that feared a U.S.-Iran thaw. Trita Parsi's biggest contribution is showing that the conflict between Iran and Israel is not inevitable. It's shaped by political shifts, national interests, and missed chances. The book also criticizes how American policy is often heavily influenced by Israeli pressure groups, which do not always reflect broader regional or international interests. In his final chapters, Parsi emphasizes that Iran's foreign policy is strategic, not suicidal. Despite harsh rhetoric from its leaders, Iran has acted pragmatically when given the chance. The country's decisions are driven more by survival and regional power than blind hatred. Ultimately, Treacherous Alliance is not just about war and tension. It's about how nations make decisions behind closed doors, how alliances are formed not out of love, but necessity, and how fear often shapes the future more than facts. It challenges the media-driven narrative that Iran and Israel are just natural-born enemies, and instead presents a picture of manipulation, strategy, and shifting power. If you're someone trying to understand the real story behind today's Middle East headlines, especially the Iran-Israel confrontation, this book is essential. It doesn't take sides. It exposes all sides. It shows how alliances can be treacherous, not because of who we are, but because of what we want to gain.